in terms of Liam and Audie, how are they doing, and do you expect either of them to be in this weekend?
So with Liam, we're actually still evaluating it. So it's less severe than we originally thought, but we won't really know for sure until we see how he progresses over the next several days. But we think he just broke up a little scar tissue in that quad injury that he had this year twice. So that's best case scenario, and if that's the scenario, then he could be available this weekend. That might be tight as well, so he might not be available. But I'll have more information, obviously, as the week progresses. A lot of it has to do with how he feels. And he felt pretty good after the game. But then he was really sore the next day and then less sore today. So there's some good signs that it's just a little bit of scar tissue broken up. But we won't, like I said, know for sure until the next couple days. And then with Audie, you saw on the back heel, he kind of grabbed his hamstring. He had a little bit of a cramp. And he was sore after the game, didn't train today. He's another one that, obviously it being Wednesday, we really don't have any definite information regarding his availability for this weekend. But we don't think it's severe.
And then Maddox, I know he left training yesterday. How is he doing?
Yeah, he's fine.
Caleb, I had a question about Liam. How frustrating is it that you've got such a key player to the team, being the captain and all, and such a great player? How hard is it to not know month to month, sometimes week to week, that he's a good player or not?
Yeah, that's never easy because, as I've said a lot, I prefer to have, my top players in. I'm a better coach when my top players are in, but I'm still a good coach when they're not, and we have good depth, and we find ways to still win games. But you ask any coach, they're always going to have a better chance to win when they have their top players. And Liam, came in as a designated player for a reason. He's a quality player, and he brings a lot to the team in his play on the ball and his leadership. We've managed it the last 2 years without him a lot of games, so we can do it. But we certainly prefer to have him in, just like we would always prefer to have Valeri in and Nagbe in and Chara in. And when you don't have guys like that in, it makes it more difficult. But what's good is this isn't shock, because we've managed it a lot this year and last year, and we've managed it a lot better this year with guys like Roy Miller and Lawrence Olam stepping in and doing the business. So it'll be no problem managing it if he is out. But you saw in the game, certainly the quality of our play goes up when he's in.
When you look at just all the inconsistency on the back line, I think, and I don't have these numbers might not be exactly correct, but I think it was about 12 different back lines that you played this year, 8 different center back pairings. It's something along those lines. I mean, how you guys have managed to keep pace in the standings despite that, but how much has that impacted you guys this year, not being able to have any consistency really back there?
Yeah, I mean, it's impacted us a lot. I mean, and those are things that, I could sit around all day long and say, man, we should be, fighting it out for Supporters Shield. If we had this guy back or this guy in, and, even with the lineups we put out, when you look at the drop points, we've played a lot better than I think the points indicate, and yet we're still in the race, and you still see a lot of real positive signs with really every game. So that's the good news. Bad news is, we should be a lot better, but I don't dwell in the past. I can't do anything about the past games and who we didn't have in and the points that we've dropped. I'm really pleased with how we've been playing. And some of those games with how we've been playing have been with a lot of guys injured. The Vancouver is case in point, one of our best performances of the year on the road. Didn't get talked about a ton, but for us to pull that off says everything about the mentality, the depth of this team, and our ability to go in a one-off game, no matter who we're playing against, and find a way to win the game, mentally and tactically. So we'll continue to do that. But I think it certainly plays in where we're at in the table. Like I said after the game, people, how have you dropped points here or there? A lot of it has to do with personnel and has to do with not having guys healthy, but I'm not going to stand up on the top of the building and scream every game about how many guys are out. I'm going to focus on, I might have my first year, but my 5th year, I really, you talk about frustration, Joe, I don't get too frustrated. I really don't. I stay very even keel, and, I hold my breath every time there's a guy goes down, and that initial maybe 10 seconds, and then it's on to the next thing. And I just think as a manager at this level, you just move on quickly from a lot of heartache and disappointment and injuries. They happen, and you got to have depth. That's what this offseason, my number one thing I said. It was a broken record, and it's rung true this year. You have to have depth in this league. And we do, and that's why we've hung in the race.
And then the last few times you guys have gone on the road, you've played some teams that have been very good at their home fields. You've been able to get at least ties and pick up points on the road. You're going to face another really good team in Toronto that's top of the standings right now and also has yet to lose at home. What do you guys need to do to find a way once again to pick up points there?
They're the best team we've played, in my opinion. Obviously, I haven't played them live yet, so maybe I'll have a different opinion after the game. But in terms of watching them on film, and obviously I've watched some teams, and you see them in the table, and you might think they're better or worse than where they're at in the table. They absolutely, in my opinion, based on watching them on tape, and seeing where they're at in the table, they absolutely are the best team that we're going to play up to this point. But I love that. I love that challenge, and so do my players. I find that in these type of games, I get the best out of the guys because we have talented players too, and we have a good team. And I have a lot of belief in this team, in the way they play and how they're capable of going into a game like this and getting results. And you saw it, like I said, KC, Houston on the road, Dallas on the road. Those are all great results. Vancouver on the road. But when you look at KC, Dallas, Houston, 3 of the toughest places to play against 3 of the best teams, and we were able to pull off, in Vancouver as well. But in terms of atmosphere, so on and so forth, those 3 come to mind. And I thought in all 3 of those games we should have won because we were in winning position. So can we do the same thing we've done in a lot of the road games this year, but close it out like we did last game?
So it gives you confidence knowing that when it all comes together toward the end of the season, that it really could be a great year.
Yeah, I think we're 3 points off the top, so you can look at it, the other way, which is, we're 6th in points per game or whatever. I think the points per game debate's interesting because you still have to win those games, and those evaporate pretty quick. Those games, and I think three of the 4 or 5 teams we're tied with, it's only 1 game in hand that they have. It's only 1. That's not a huge swing. So I like where we're at. Obviously, we could be a lot better, but we're in striking distance from the top. So how can you be too disappointed, and how can you not feel, encouraged and optimistic about the end of the year? And, for me, I look at just the striking distance from the top and knowing how we play at the end of years, and also knowing that we are getting healthy, even though we might have a few guys that are out this weekend. We'll see. But, I think we're playing good football right now. I think we're, over the last 7 games, only 1 loss we're playing really good, and I think we're starting to hit our stride, and we're starting to peak at the right time like we always do. And I look forward to the challenge, but I also, like I said, know that this is the best team in the league right now, with no doubt about it, with the best two strikers, 1-2 punch in the league. Altidore and Giovinco are the best two strikers in the league in terms of how they play together, their individual ability to score goals. So we've got our hands full there, but I think our guys will be up for it.